Thailand enters caretaker government period. Civilian killed in police vehicle incident sparks unrest in Indonesia. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. Thanks for tuning in. You're watching World Today with me, Olivia Nicholas. Thailand's Constitutional Court dismissed Paetongtarn Shinawatra as Prime Minister over ethics and integrity violations. The court ruled that Paetongtarn failed to uphold the ethical standards required of a premier during her June call with Cambodia's Senate President Hun Sen.
In a statement, the court said Paetongtarn lacked the qualifications and possessed prohibited characteristics under Section 160, subsection 5 of the Thai Constitution. Following court decision, the cabinet must vacate office under constitutional requirements. Meanwhile, Paetongtarn accepted the ruling, described the verdict as another sudden turning point in Thai politics. She reaffirmed her sincerity and commitment to serving the nation. Paetongtarn, Thailand's youngest Prime Minister, had served just a year in office. On the 19th of June, 36 senators petitioned the Charter Court, accusing Paetongtarn of violating ethical standards and failing to protect Thailand's national interests and dignity during a leaked conversation with Hun Sen.
Thailand will enter a caretaker government period following the dismissal of Paetongtarn Shinawatra as Prime Minister by the Constitutional Court. Director of the Institute of East Asian Studies at Thammasat University stated that when a Prime Minister resigns or is removed from office, the entire cabinet must also vacate their post.
Until Parliament chooses a new Prime Minister, Acting Prime Minister Puntam Wechayachai will lead the caretaker government. Puntam announced that a Prime Ministerial candidate will be announced soon following the dismissal of Paetongtarn Shinawatra as Prime Minister. Puntam, a member of the Pheu Thai Party, said the party remains confident that it will continue to lead the coalition and form the next government. He stressed that the coalition government remains united and committed to working together. Thailand's current coalition government, led by Pheu Thai together with 10 other parties, holds 253 seats. The opposition, led by the People's Party and includes Bumjain Thai, controls 239 seats.
Hundreds of Indonesians protested at sites across Jakarta over the death of a civilian hit by a police vehicle, triggering calls for police reform in the first major test for President Prabowo Subianto's nearly year-old government. The civilian, a motorcycle ride-sharing driver, was hit at the site of violent clashes on Thursday near Parliament as police sought to disperse demonstrators protesting about a number of issues, including lawmakers' pay and education funding.
The protest in Jakarta led several schools to allow students to leave early, while banks and businesses requested employees to work from home. The military also has been deployed in some areas. Prabowo expressing condolences for the driver Afan Kurniawan's death and ordering a thorough probe of the incident. Jakarta Legal Aid urged the government to release 600 people who had been arrested during the demonstrations. The week's protests were the most violent since Prabowo took office in October and mark an early challenge for the president, who has pledged fast, state-driven growth. But some of his policies, including widespread budget cuts announced this year to fund his flagship free meal program for school children and a new sovereign wealth fund, have sparked public discontent. Following a series of demonstrations in Jakarta, the Malaysian embassy in Jakarta is closely monitoring the latest developments. The embassy said the demonstrations have affected traffic flow following the closure of a number of locations, in particular in South and Central Jakarta. In a statement, the embassy urges Malaysian citizens residing in Jakarta and those visiting for pleasure, business and other purposes to constantly monitor the latest update regarding protest sites from local authorities and media. Malaysians are also advised to avoid demonstration areas and not to engage in any actions that could violate local regulations.
A divided U.S. appeals court ruled that most of Donald Trump's tariffs are illegal, undercutting the Republican president's use of the levies as a key international economic policy tool. The court allowed the tariffs to remain in place through 14 October to give the Trump administration a chance to file an appeal with the U.S. Supreme Court.
U.S. President Donald Trump said the ruling by a U.S. appeals court that most of his tariffs were not legal was incorrect, adding that all tariffs were still in effect. Trump has made tariffs a pillar of U.S. foreign policy in his second term, using them to exert political pressure and renegotiate trade deals with countries that export goods to the United States. The tariffs have given the Trump administration leverage to extract economic concessions from trading partners, but have also increased volatility in financial markets. The Treasury, the U.S. Trade Representative's Office, and the Commerce Department had no immediate response to the ruling.
Turkey has decided to buy Israeli vessels from using its ports, forbid Turkish ships from using Israeli ports, and impose restrictions on planes entering Turkish airspace. Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan provided few details in comments to Parliament, which appeared to summarize steps that Turkey has already taken against Israel over the war in Gaza or has stated to implement.
Turkey has fiercely criticized Israel's offensive in Gaza and accuses it of committing genocide in the Palestinian enclave, a charge that Israel denies. Ankara has halted all trade with Israel, called for international measures against it, and urged world powers to stop supporting Israel. Turkish port authorities had also started requiring shipping agents to provide letters declaring that vessels are not linked to Israel and not carrying military or hazardous cargo bound for the country. Turkish media reported last week that a ban on maritime traffic linked to Israel had been imposed, although there was no official statement.
Coming up next, Japan and India agree to deepen economic and security ties. Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba and his Indian counterpart Narendra Modi agreed to deepen economic and security ties as New Delhi confronts new U.S. tariffs and Tokyo looks to counter China's growing influence. Ishiba stated that Japan and India ought to leverage each other's strengths, assist in addressing each other's challenges, and collaboratively confront the issues that future generations will encounter.
基本的価値を共にする日本とインドは、インド太平洋地域において法の支配に基づく自由で開かれた国際秩序を維持し、強化する責任を共に有しております。国際情勢がますます不透明を増す今こそ、地域の平和と安定のため、日本とインドは力を合わせていかねばなりません。
Meanwhile, Modi said the two leaders decided to further strengthen the cooperation related to the defense industry and innovation.
India and Japan partnership is rooted in mutual trust, reflects our national priorities, and is shaped by our shared values and beliefs. Together, we carry a common dream of peace, progress, and prosperity of our peoples and for the world.
Modi's visit to Japan is part of a broader push to strengthen India's diplomatic ties and win support for his Make in India initiative as New Delhi battles the fallout from tariffs imposed by U.S. President Donald Trump. On Wednesday, the U.S. raised import levies on Indian goods to as much as 50%, with a punitive 25% tariff slapped on India for purchasing Russian oil.
French President Emmanuel Macron said on Friday he would continue his mandate until the end of its term in 2027, pushing back at speculation that could be pressure for him to go if the government loses its confidence vote on the budget next month.
Speaking at a joint press conference with Germany's Friedrich Merz, Macron said he hoped discussions between Prime Minister Francois Bayrou with other parties to try and get their backing in the confidence vote would succeed. Opposition parties have so far said they will vote Bayrou out. While they agree France's deficit and debt are too high, the opposition disagree with him on how to tackle the problem and refuse to back him. Macron also said recent Russian attacks on Ukraine, such as those on Thursday, show the gap between positions Russian President Vladimir Putin was taking in engaging in ceasefire or peace talks and the reality on the ground. He denied the Russian government's assertion that he had spoken in a manner unbecoming of a head of state in a recent interview. Macron said Putin has decided to move towards an authoritarian, autocratic drift and to lead a revisionist imperialism of international borders, and other nations, including Ukraine and Georgia, would share his view.
Egyptian Prime Minister Mustafa Madani arrived in Beijing on Friday to attend the Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO Summit 2025, scheduled from the 31st of August to the 1st of September in the northern Chinese port city of Tianjin. Madani previously visited China in 2023 to attend the Third Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation.
The largest ever SCO summit in history will bring together leaders from more than 20 countries and heads of 10 international organizations. During the two-day event, Chinese President Xi Jinping will chair the 25th meeting of the Council of Heads of State of the SCO and the SCO Plus meeting and deliver keynote speeches. What began in 2001 with 6 member states, China, Russia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan, has since expanded to include India, Pakistan, Iran and Belarus. Comprising these 10 member states, 2 observer states and 14 dialogue partners spanning Asia, Europe and Africa, the SCO now forms a 26-nation big family. It is now the world's largest regional international organization by both geographical area and population.
Several homes and buildings were washed away after heavy rain triggered flooding and landslides across parts of northern India. Emergency crews waded through flooded streets to rescue people who were stranded in their homes.
According to a district official, between 8 and 9 people are feared to be trapped under debris after a landslide hit the town of Rudraprayag on torrential monsoon rains. Torrential monsoon rains ravaged neighboring adversaries India and Pakistan this week, with further heavy downpours forecast for this weekend. The nations share rivers that originate in India and flow into Pakistan, regulated for more than 6 decades under the Indus Waters Treaty. That agreement was suspended by India this year following the shooting of 26 people by militants at New Delhi.
Villages in Kasur district were among the latest evacuations from flooded areas in Pakistan. Pakistan evacuated more than 1 million people this week in the east of the country away from the path of the 3 overflowing rivers that came from India.
Pakistani officials said that the flooding was made worse by New Delhi's suspension of a river-sharing treaty and the collapse of the gates on an Indian barrage. In eastern Pakistan, floodwaters hit the outskirts of the country's second biggest city, Lahore, and threatened to submerge the major town of Jang in the worst flooding in almost 40 years in that part of the country. Meanwhile, an Indian government denied there had been any deliberate attempt to flood Pakistan, while confirming that 2 gates of Madhopur barrage had broken. Indian authorities were trying to stem the flow on the Ravi River despite the damage to the barrage, and the flow was being controlled by the Ranjit Sagar Dam upstream. As reported by the National Disaster Management Authority, 820 individuals have lost their lives in Pakistan during the current monsoon season. The eastern region of the country, which has been severely flooded, is inhabited by half of the total population of 240 million people.
Still to come in sports, Tottenham Hotspur signs Dutch midfielder Simons from RB Leipzig.
This place once came alive with voices. Hands were raised, carrying the hope of freedom. Here they stood, with one voice. They changed the destiny of a nation. Now, all that remains is silence. Memories. Fading into time. But the spirit they ignited still lingers. And their voices still echo within us. Independence is not a relic of the past. It is a trust we carry, a promise to the future. Once, they spoke for tomorrow, and now, that legacy lives on in our voices today. Selamat menyambut Hari Kebangsaan.
Cristiano Ronaldo scored a penalty as his Al Nassr side laid down a marker in their season opener, trashing Al Tawoun 5-0 away from home. A hat-trick from João Felix, Kingsley common man, effort to secure the victory for Al Nassr, who are aiming to win a first trophy since Ronaldo joined the club.
Al Nassr asserted dominance since the beginning of the game, with João Felix making his league debut, opening up the scoring with a composed finish in the 7th minute. Any hopes of an Al Tawoun comeback were extinguished after the break. A handball by Walid Al Ahmed gifted Al Nassr a penalty, which Cristiano Ronaldo converted in the 54th minute. Moments later, Al Nassr capitalized on another defensive lapse, and Coleman took advantage of it with a scoring header. João Felix was undoubtedly the star of the show with a sensational hat-trick. His second goal came in the 66th minute, and he completed his hat-trick late in the game in the 87th minute. The win sends Al Nassr to the top of the table, whilst Ronaldo notched yet another goal as he edges closer to the 1,000 mark. Al Nassr will aim to maintain the momentum when they face Al Kholoud in the Saudi Pro League's next round of fixtures.
Updates on English football. Tottenham Hotspur have signed Netherlands attacking midfielder Xavi Simons from Bundesliga side RB Leipzig on a long-term contract. The Premier League club said on Friday without disclosing financial details, but British media reported that Spurs agreed to pay €60 million for the 22-year-old who has been capped 28 times.
Spurs have been looking for a playmaker after losing James Maddison to an anterior cruciate ligament injury, while they lost a transfer tug-of-war to sign England's Eberechi Eze from Crystal Palace when he signed for rivals Arsenal. Simons joined Leipzig permanently from Paris Saint-Germain in a deal worth over €50 million in January, having had an 18-month loan spell at the Bundesliga club before signing a contract until 2027. Simons is known not just for his attacking instincts but also his defensive prowess. He is one of Europe's best players when it comes to pressing aggressively and winning possession in the final third. He scored 22 goals and provided 24 assists in 78 games for the German side in all competitions. Spurs won the Europa League last term to qualify for the Champions League. They are second in the Premier League standings, level on 6 points with leaders Arsenal after 2 games. Frank's side hosts Bournemouth later tonight.
Still on football, this time in the United States. Los Angeles Football Club superstar Son Heung-min said on Friday he is ready to make his long-awaited home debut in front of the black and gold fans in Los Angeles. Son said he expects an exciting atmosphere as the former Tottenham Hotspur captain and LAFC prepare to face San Diego FC on Sunday.
Sonny's immediate impact has been felt as the team is undefeated with him in the lineup, and he has had a busy time off the pitch, throwing the first pitch at Dodger Stadium earlier in the week. Billed as one of the most anticipated games of the season since Son's arrival, a sellout crowd is expected, and football fans from all across the globe will likely be tuning in to watch the record-breaking signing. Despite the buzz going into Sunday's game, Son maintains his priority is winning.
Obviously, try to win the trophy for this club, and that's what I'm here for, and that's what I work for, you know. So I had a great memory last 3 months ago, won the trophy in Europa League. So with that feeling, with that momentum, I want to keep going. So, and obviously, first home game after months, it felt like a year. So yeah, I can't wait, and yeah, the fans will be really, really good, and the stadium will be packed. So yeah, I can't wait to be on the pitch again.
Jose Mourinho's contract at Fenerbahce has been terminated, the Turkish club said on Friday, bringing an early end to the Portuguese coach's tenure in Istanbul. A statement from the Istanbul club, chasing their first Turkish Super Lig title since 2014, said they had mutually agreed to terminate the contract with Mourinho.
Mourinho, 62, took charge of Fenerbahce in July 2024 after leaving AS Roma. The former Chelsea, Real Madrid and Manchester United manager was greeted by thousands of fans when he arrived in Istanbul at the start of last summer, raising expectations of ending Galatasaray's recent dominance. However, Fenerbahce's inconsistent start to the season and early European struggles put his position under pressure. Mourinho was a frequent critic of the standard of officiating in Turkey and was handed a 4-match ban, later reduced to 2 matches, for his comments about referees after the match against Galatasaray. When Mourinho was unveiled as Fenerbahce manager in June 2024, he promised supporters the yellow and navy shirt would become his skin and their dreams would also be his. But things didn't turn out that way. The club did not announce a successor.
In motorsports, the World Rally Championship, Toyota's Kalle Rovanperä snatched the overnight lead at the WRC's Rally Paraguay on Friday. Frenchman Adrien Fourmarx was out in front for most of the day's action and looks set for a maiden WRC victory.
Paraguay's unique and unknown gravel stages, featuring a blend of high-speed sections, technical corners, multiple grip changes and rough compressions, provided plenty of challenges for the WRC field. A tyre puncture 3.5 kilometers from the penultimate stage, however, handed the overnight lead to the 2-time world champion Rovanperä. Fourmarx's Hyundai teammate OTT Tanak sits third, just 0.5 seconds behind him. A new addition on the WRC's 2025 calendar, Paraguay's red gravel roads packed a punch with M Sport Ford's Gregor Monster languishing 50 minutes off the lead after spinning off the road, while Toyota's Takamoto Katsuta was forced to retire after losing a rear wheel. Rally Paraguay continues on Saturday with 7 stages covering a total distance of 112.78 kilometers against the clock.
On to cycling, Spaniard Juan Ayuso of UAE Team Emirates XRG went alone on the climb to finish to win Stage 7 of the Vuelta a España on Friday, showing a remarkable recovery from his collapse in the Pyrenees the previous day, while Torsten Tarin retains a red jersey.
Ayuso, tipped to be one of the main challenges to pre-race favourite Jonas Vingegaard, had slipped way down the general classification after getting dropped on the final climb on Thursday, but was back to his best on the 188 km ride from Andorra la Vella to Sella. Italian Marco Frigo crossed the line more than 1 minute behind Ayuso in second, with another Spaniard, Raul Garcia Perna, from Team Arca B&B Hotels finishing third. Norwegian Trarin from Bahrain victorious team holds a 2 minutes and 33 seconds lead over Vingegaard. Ayuso was the first to get away early in the stage before he was joined by a group of 11 riders, including Australian teammate and stage 6 winner Jay Vine. With 11 kilometers left to the finish, the Spaniard made his move again. Skateboarding icon Tony Hawk is putting a special board up for auction. It's the one he used to land the first 2.5 revolution aerial spin, known as a 900, in competition. The board, helmet, knee pads and shoes from the 1999 X Games Best Trick event, along with about 100 other items spanning his career, including pieces from the 1980s Bones Brigade era, will be sold through Julian's auctions next month. Proceeds will support the Skate Park Project, TSP Hawks non-profit that helps build public skate parks in undeserved areas. He said the board itself bears the rush of that night, including grip tape applied incorrectly and hastily patched. His trucks were from Fury and his shoes from audio footwear brands that no longer exist. Of the sponsors featured on the setup, only Hot Wheels remain with him 26 years later. The Birdhouse Falcon 2 board is expected to fetch between $500,000 and $700,000. A record for a skateboard when it goes on the block in Los Angeles on the 23rd of September. Hawk hoped the eventual buyer would be someone from whom skateboarding resonated, rather than a bidder looking to show off. A small sculpture of two toads and other water-linked symbols found near the Peruvian city of Caral, once the oldest city on the continent, have helped archaeologists confirm that an ancient civilization disappeared due to devastating climate change. Climate change, a long-term and large-scale shift in weather patterns, can have natural causes such as changes in solar activity or volcanic eruptions. Since the early 1800s, human activities have been its main drivers. Archaeologists said they found the small sculpture dating back 3,800 years, as well as anthropomorphic figures on mud walls earlier this year in the Vichama archaeological site. Archaeologist Tatiana Abad, head of research at Vichama, said the figures look like they are in a state of malnutrition because of climate change, a global phenomenon that caused the decline not only of Caral but of other civilizations in other parts of the world. The toad is a symbol of a crisis that these populations endured, and it represents fertility and prosperity.
That wraps up World Today this time around. In our top story, Thailand enters caretaker government period. For business news updates, do join us tonight at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 or Salaran Berita RTM. Till then, I'm Olivia Nicholas, Malaysia Madani, Rakyat, Disantuni. Have a fantastic day.